Hello, good evening to everyone. Today we will study the reported speech, continuing, uh, seeing more examples of when we use and how to use some verbs which are used in the reported speech. We have already given them in examples such as the verb said, right, which is the simple past of the verb to say. The verb tell, we use the verb told, right, which is the simple past of the verb tell, and so forth. Today I'm feeling much better than yesterday. I guess I was tired. I'm still tired, but somehow I feel that I have more energy than comparing to yesterday. It happens. Everybody has their ups and lows, and we have to deal with it. All things considered, that we are staying at home full time, I can't say that it changes much of the situation that I was before the pandemic, because my routine is mostly unchanged, okay? And I hope that you take advantage of the pandemic to study, to read, to have fun. Of course, those who have to work from home, like me, we have to work, and I'm working more than ever. I guess it changes many things. Anyway, enough talk. Let's get going to the video, to our purpose of the video. My table is a mess. You can see from here, everything is messy, but hopefully things will be better. Well, as I told you before, let's see one example. Have you heard? Tom Tom is sick. When here I'm telling somebody about something, right? I have a friend named Tom and he's sick. Oh, have you heard? He's sick. He's terribly sick. He's in the hospital right now. He is having surgery, okay? So, if another person wants to report what I said, for example, Thales said Tom was sick. We have already said that when I have the direct speech, the verb in the simple present, the simple past is used in the reported speech. There are more possibilities. Of course, we can use the reported speech in the past, or maybe, depending on the situation, you can use the simple present. But here, I want to give you a situation in which actually Tom isn't sick, right? Somebody told me he is sick, but the truth is that he's not sick. He wasn't sick at all. So, when I want to report the situation, when I want to say that there's a difference between what I said, right, and the truth, because we know that the truth is Tom is healthy. Nothing happened to Tom. So people are spreading lies, okay? It's just gossip. He's not sick. He's not in the hospital. Everything is well with him. So when you have a report of a situation that is not true, you have to employ the simple past in the reported speech. Okay, so you can't say Tali said Tom is sick because the situation isn't true, right? Nothing is happening. Let's see another example of this. For example, Mary is rich. She won the lottery, right? Is rich because she won the lottery. So, my friend said Mary was rich. The situation is not true because Mary hasn't won the lottery. So I employ the simple past. The direct speech, I use the simple present, but the reported speech, I have to change the verb tense because the situation is not true. Okay? So it's simple. I guess it's no big deal. Now we will focus on the verbs that we use in the direct speech. Remember, you use the verb say. The simple past of the verb say is said, okay? Say, said, said. It's a regular verb. And you have the verb tell, which is an irregular verb. The simple past of it is told. So you can tell that these verbs are the most used ones, most commonly used verbs in reported speech. Although you know that you can use other examples as mention, right? Mention is clearly a verb that I use. Report is another verb. For example, Mary reported that, Mary mentioned that, okay? Described, right? Somebody describes a speech of Tom described that. So there are many verbs which can be used, and these ones are the mostly used ones. Now, these ones are mostly used. We will see now that study the difference, okay? When you tell somebody. So this verb, the verb to tell, doesn't require preposition. You can tell this by you tell somebody. And when somebody, because the verb tell implies that a person tells something to another person, okay? Tell something to somebody, okay? Tell something to somebody. And then you tell something to somebody. It requires two people. It's a communication, right? Somebody delivers a message to another person. So this is a person and this is another person, okay? The verb say, on the other hand, is different, okay? You don't say somebody, you say something. You can't write say Bob, say Thales. No, you use say something. If you want to write somebody just after the verb say, it's wrong, okay? You can't say somebody. You say something to somebody. It's possible to use something and somebody with the verb say, but the structure of what comes first and what comes next is right here. First, you say something, you describe what you want to say, you use the preposition to, and then you write or tell who you say something to, okay? The verb tell, on the other hand, is different. You tell somebody something. Is it possible to use tell something to somebody? It's possible. Or tell somebody something. But here the verb say you don't have option, okay? So what's the implication? What does it mean? And how I make sentences in the reported speech about it. For example, Mary told me Richard is getting married. Or was getting married, right? You know that depending on the situation, it's optional. You can use the verb in the simple present in reported speech as long as the situation which is described still applies. So when Mary tells me something about Richard, she tells he is getting married and he is still getting married. But on the other hand, if the situation no longer applies and Richard has changed his mind or broken up with her fiancé for some reason, or he's no longer getting married, he gave up on this, no problem. So you use the verb was, because the situation of his getting married is no longer true, okay? So you can use both. What I want to tell is that it's possible to use tell or say, but be aware, when I want to emphasize who Mary told who? Mary told me, right? So Mary is here, Mary is talking to me, and she delivers a message to me. So Mary told me something. Something is this. This is the situation Mary is telling me, okay? But when you say, for example, Mary said, Richard is getting married. Is it possible to use the verb say? Yes, it's possible. Mary said Richard is getting married, okay? It implies that we have a pronoun here, a preposition, or this is a preposition and a pronoun. I guess, yes, it's more likely a preposition. Yeah, it's not a pronoun. A pronoun, a demonstrative pronoun, for example, that book, this house, okay? So I use this to connect both sentences. Mary said, and Richard is getting married. Is it possible to say something different than that? Yes, you can say Mary said to me, Mary said to me that, but I guess this is not so, how can I say? This is not very used. I don't recommend. The grammar books mostly they say if you want to employ the verb say, you don't specify somebody in the same sentence. If you want to emphasize who somebody is telling something, you use the verb tell. Mary told somebody, okay? Tell somebody. Said, you drop the somebody part of it. Although I tend to believe that it's not so incorrect to say But it's weird, you know. Mary said to me that, yeah, but I guess it's true. I guess it's possible to use, but it's not very common. It's more common to say, to employ, say something to somebody, not somebody to something. Okay? So Mary said something to me. Okay? Said something to me. But when I say it's not possible, for example, to use the sentence this way, Mary said, Richard is getting married to me. No, it's wrong. So, considering this, using the structure Mary said to me is wrong because of this. Because the structure of the verb say is say something to somebody. Okay? Say something to somebody. So have this in mind when employing reported speech. Let's see another example. What did you say? Mary said you were traveling abroad. Mary said you were traveling abroad, okay? Mary said something. This entire sentence means something. Mary said something. So what did Mary say? Mary said you were traveling abroad, okay? You can say something to somebody, as I mentioned. Let's see some examples. Bob said hello to me. This is correct, okay? Bob said hello to me. Bob said something to somebody, okay? What did you say to the doctor? Let's focus last but not least, on this question. What did you say to the doctor? I said, I'm going to write the answer. I said I wasn't feeling well. What did you say to the doctor? So the verb say, as I have already mentioned before, requires something. I said something to somebody, okay? So I said what? What did you say? I said I wasn't feeling well. So I wasn't feeling well is something, okay? I said something, or I said I wasn't feeling well. It's not possible, for example, to say I said to the doctor that I wasn't feeling well. I don't consider it wrong, okay? But the grammar books I'm basing, and since I have firstly studying English, it says that you use this structure, say something to somebody. So considering this, I said I wasn't feeling well. You don't use to the doctor after, because it's weird. I don't think it's right to say I said I wasn't feeling well to the doctor. No, I said something to the doctor. What did you say to the doctor? I said I wasn't feeling well. Okay, it's not complicated. You don't, as I mentioned, you don't need to, how can I say, to think about it to speak something. It's not required. As I mentioned, speech and grammar, they must be close if you want to speak correctly, right? It's advisable that you and it's recommendable that you speak as the most correct way, right? Study the grammar in a way that you deliver the message and you speak formally, right? Deliver message in a formal way. But you don't need to think in the grammar before speaking. If you do that, it will take a long time for you to speak. So it's not advisable. So speak no matter what you want to say, as long as you deliver the message and the person who is receiving the message understands what you want to say. It's the most important thing, always, right? I can't emphasize enough, I can't tell you enough about it. It's very important that you deliver a message, no matter how bad your grammar is. Of course, you need to improve. I need to improve my grammar in order to speak better. Yes, it's required, it's necessary if you want to study somewhere in an American university. If you want to apply for a job abroad, it's required that you speak formal English. It's like Portuguese. If you don't write well in Portuguese, if you don't speak formally and structure your ideas in a way that the person understands what you want to say, it's less likely that you will get a good job. So a good job requires good communication, okay? And communication requires grammar and precision in the speech. You need to be as objective, as straightforward as possible. Okay, people, so that's it. It was a long video. I want to wish you a wonderful evening or a wonderful day, depending on the time you are watching. Bye bye.